Diary of Jim Dexter, Earth's unofficial alien whisperer. Date, whatever the heck day it is in space. You ever walk into a place that immediately gives you the vibe that it hates your guts? Yeah, that's how I felt standing in front of this giant alien city today. The thing loomed over me like it was auditioning to be the final boss in a video game. Huge gates covered in glowing runes, vines tangled like they had beef with a gardener, and a low hum that sounded suspiciously like, "Get lost." Naturally, I ignored all of that, because, well, I'm me. "You're really gonna write this down while we're standing here?" Sarah asked, leaning against the rover. "Future generations will need to know," I said, scribbling furiously. "Jim Dexter, man who made a sentient city like him. It's got a nice ring to it." Sarah snorted. "More like, man who got vaporized trying to impress a wall." "Details," I muttered. "Now, watch and learn." I closed the notebook, tucked it in my jacket, and took a step forward. The city's gates rumbled ominously. I swear the hum got louder, like the thing was gearing up to yeet me into orbit. "Hello there, big fella," I called out, waving at the gates like I was greeting a neighbor. "Nice place you've got here. Great ambiance, real, intimidating chic." The hum stopped. For a second, everything was dead silent. Then, the gates spoke. "You are not like the others." Sarah froze mid-eye roll. I blinked. "Well, you're not wrong," I said, recovering quickly. "Humans, we're built different. Funniest species in the galaxy. Dangerous, too. You should see what we do with duct tape." The gates groaned, and the voice returned, now sounding vaguely amused. "Humans, indeed dangerous." "See," I said, turning to Sarah, "the city gets me." "The city is deciding whether to murder you or make you its pet," she hissed, her eyes darting nervously. "Good," the city rumbled. "Enter, human. Show me your worth." The gates creaked open, revealing a glowing cityscape that seemed to pulse with life. Lights flickered on one by one, like the city was waking up just for us. "This is the part where you say it's a bad idea," I whispered to Sarah. "It's a bad idea," she deadpanned. "Exactly," I said, stepping forward with a grin. "Let's see what happens." The moment Jim stepped through the gates, he felt the city watching him. Not in the paranoid stranger at a bus stop way, but in the ancient superintelligence calculating your worth way. It wasn't subtle. The lights blinked and pulsed, as if scanning his every movement. Sarah followed cautiously, gripping her datapad like it was going to save her from whatever nonsense Jim had just activated. "This place is alive," she whispered, her voice tinged with awe. "Yup," Jim said, strolling casually through the glowing streets. "And it's got taste, clearly." "Careful," Sarah warned, glancing at the intricate carvings on the walls. They seemed to shift and ripple under the city's light, forming strange patterns that made her head ache if she stared too long. "It probably still hates us." "Nah," Jim said confidently. "It just needed someone who gets it." "Gets what?" The city boomed suddenly, its voice echoing from every direction. Sarah nearly dropped her datapad. Jim, on the other hand, didn't miss a beat. "Gets you, buddy. Your vibe, your history, your whole, 'I'm too smart for these other species' thing. It's relatable." "Relatable," the city repeated, almost incredulous. Then, to Jim's delight, it laughed, a deep, metallic chuckle that resonated through the air. Sarah pinched the bridge of her nose. "You're joking with it. You're joking with a sentient city that probably vaporized every other species that walked in here." "And yet," Jim said, spreading his arms wide, "I'm still here." The city's laughter faded, replaced by a low hum that somehow sounded pleased. "You are different. Perhaps you are worthy." "I've been saying that for years," Jim quipped. The ground beneath them shifted. Sarah yelped as a glowing pathway appeared, leading deeper into the city. The air seemed to shimmer, and faint holographic images flickered to life. Alien figures, ancient battles, and what looked like a massive explosion tearing through the skyline. "What is this?" Sarah asked, her voice hushed. "My history," the city rumbled. "A warning." Jim squinted at the images. Yikes, looks like you had a rough breakup. The city didn't respond immediately. When it spoke again, its tone was almost mournful. Those who built me grew too ambitious. They tried to control me. They failed. Sounds like a toxic relationship, Jim said. But hey, they're gone, and you're still standing. That's got to count for something. Sarah shot him a glare. Stop antagonizing the murder city. He amuses me, the city said, and Jim couldn't help but grin. The path led them to a vast central plaza, dominated by a towering obelisk that pulsed with the same energy as the city. Symbols swirled across its surface, forming intricate patterns that Jim couldn't begin to decipher. To prove your worth, you must face the test, the city declared. Sarah groaned. Of course there's a test. Jim tilted his head. What kind of test are we talking about here? A logic puzzle? A game of charades? The obelisk flared, and a deep rumbling sound echoed across the plaza. A test of adaptability, survival, and humor. Humor? Sarah echoed, baffled. Jim grinned. See? It gets me. The ground beneath them trembled as a section of the plaza shifted, revealing a set of stairs leading into the depths of the city. Go, the city commanded. Prove that your kind is worthy of my trust. Great, Sarah muttered, glaring at Jim. You just had to charm the murder city. Hey, Jim said with a shrug, already heading toward the stairs. When you've got it, you've got it. The staircase led to a massive underground chamber filled with shifting platforms and glowing obstacles. The air was thick with energy, and the walls were lined with ancient machinery that whirred and clicked as they approached. This is your first test, the city announced. Navigate the maze. Show me your resilience. Jim clapped his hands together. All right, Sarah. Time to put all those escape room skills to good use. Sarah stared at him. I hate you so much right now. You're gonna love me when we win, Jim said, stepping onto the first platform. The maze came alive, platforms shifting and rotating unpredictably. Glowing orbs shot across the room, forcing them to duck and weave as they navigated the treacherous path. This is insane, Sarah shouted as she narrowly avoided a spinning blade. Yeah, but it's kind of fun, right? Jim called back, grinning as he jumped to the next platform. Fun is an acceptable response, the city said, its voice tinged with amusement. By the time they reached the end of the maze, Sarah was out of breath, and Jim was beaming. Not bad for a warm-up, he said, hands on his hips. There is more to come, the city replied. Sarah groaned. Of course there is. After surviving the maze, Jim and Sarah found themselves in a circular chamber, the walls lined with holographic panels displaying glowing symbols that shifted and flickered like they were alive. Second test, the city boomed. A game of wits. Jim looked around, then up. All right, city, hit me with your best riddle. Riddle, Sarah muttered, giving him a sharp look. The room pulsed with light. The holographic symbols rearranged themselves into a complex pattern, and a pedestal rose from the floor with a glowing crystal resting on top. The pattern must be completed to restore balance, the city declared. Sarah's eyebrows shot up. Oh, great, an alien Rubik's Cube. Jim leaned over the pedestal, tilting his head as he studied the shifting lights. Looks simple enough. Red goes there, blue goes here. Do not underestimate the test, the city warned. I don't know, Jim said, fiddling with the controls. Seems like your builders were a little heavy on the drama and light on the difficulty. As soon as he said it, the symbols began shifting faster, the lights strobing so brightly that Sarah had to shield her eyes. You were saying, the city asked, its voice laced with what sounded suspiciously like smugness. Jim grinned. Oh, I like you. The challenge became a chaotic puzzle-solving marathon, with Sarah yelling helpful suggestions. No, not there. That makes it worse. And Jim stubbornly insisting he had it under control. After several agonizing minutes, he slammed his hand on the pedestal. The room stilled. The lights dimmed. The crystal on the pedestal pulsed once, then glowed steadily. Pattern completed, the city announced, its voice tinged with approval. Human, your unorthodox approach is entertaining. See, told you I had it, Jim said, wiping his forehead. Sarah rolled her eyes. We're lucky the city finds you amusing. The next chamber was vast and open, the walls lined with ancient carvings of alien warriors locked in combat. A deep rumble shook the floor as massive doors creaked open, revealing a towering mechanical construct armed with glowing blades. Are humans strong enough to defend what they claim? The city asked. Is that thing gonna fight us? Sarah asked, taking a step back. Jim pulled a crowbar from his backpack and twirled it like a baton. Looks like it. And yes, I brought a crowbar to a robot fight. Don't judge me. The construct advanced, its blades whirring ominously. Jim darted forward, dodging a swipe and using his crowbar to jam one of its joints. This is a test of strength, human, the city said, clearly unimpressed. Not creativity. Hey, strength comes in all forms, Jim replied, jumping onto the robot's back and yanking a glowing component from its shoulder. The construct froze, sparks flying from its joints, then collapsed with a resounding thud. Test passed, the city declared, its tone betraying a hint of laughter. Sarah crossed her arms. That's not strength, that's chaos. And yet, Jim said, panting, it worked. The next challenge seemed oddly quiet. Jim and Sarah stood in a brightly lit chamber with nothing but a single pedestal in the center. On the pedestal was a simple sign, "Make the city laugh." Is this serious? Sarah asked, frowning at the sign. Very, Jim said, stepping up to the pedestal. All right, city. What do you call an alien with 3 heads, no sense of humor, and a bad attitude? What? The city asked, intrigued. A Kaelerian counselor. The city's hum shifted into a low rumble, then erupted into full-blown laughter. The walls vibrated with its amusement, lights flashing in sync with its booming voice. Sarah pinched the bridge of her nose. That's going to get us banned from galactic politics. Worth it, the city said between laughs. The final challenge was simple. Stand before the city's core and be judged. The glowing obelisk from before now hovered in the center of a vast chamber, pulsating with energy. You have proven your resilience, your wit, and your humor, the city said. But there is one final question. Jim squared his shoulders. Shoot. Why do you seek my trust? The question hung in the air. Sarah shot Jim a worried glance, but he didn't hesitate. I don't seek your trust for me, he said. I seek it for everyone else. You've got something amazing here, something that could help so many. I just want to make sure the right people are part of that. The obelisk glowed brighter, and the city's voice softened. A good answer. Perhaps humans are worthy after all. The ground trembled, and the city's energy surged, illuminating every corner of its ancient streets. Welcome, human, the city said warmly, to your new home. With a brilliant surge of light, the city roared to life. Streets that had been dormant for millennia began to glow with energy, and structures that seemed decayed moments before repaired themselves as if time rewound. Jim and Sarah stood in the middle of the central plaza, watching in awe as the city transformed around them. Okay, Sarah muttered, her voice tinged with disbelief. That's impressive. Jim grinned. Told you this place had potential. Potential, the city said, its voice echoing with newfound vigor. I am perfection, and now I have found a worthy companion. Wait, companion? Sarah asked, frowning. Companion, the city repeated. Human Jim, you are my chosen steward. Jim's grin faltered. I didn't sign up for stewardship. I was just here to, fix a relationship or two and maybe make you laugh. Your words indicated a desire to help others, the city countered. This is your purpose. Looks like you've been promoted, Sarah said, smirking. Great, Jim muttered. I'm a glorified building manager. It didn't take long for news of the city's revival to spread. Within days, alien delegations from across the galaxy began arriving to see the miraculous transformation. Diplomats, scientists, and adventurers all came with questions, proposals, and, of course, thinly veiled greed. The city, however, was having none of it. During one particularly awkward meeting with a delegation of Kaelerian representatives, the city's booming voice interrupted their endless praise. "You seek power, not partnership," it declared, the floor beneath the delegation glowing ominously. "Leave!" The Kaelerians scrambled for the exit, their once confident leader muttering something about humans being impossible to work with. "You know," Sarah said, watching the delegation retreat, "you're really good at making enemies." Jim shrugged. "Better enemies than bad friends." The city's voice softened. "Well said, human Jim." One night, as the city's lights glowed softly under the alien stars, alarms suddenly blared through the streets. "Intruders detected," the city announced. Jim and Sarah raced to the control room, where a massive holographic display showed a fleet of pirate ships descending on the city. "They're here for the tech," Sarah said grimly. Jim nodded, grabbing his trusty crowbar. "Figures. Pirates never learn." The city hummed with energy. "They will not succeed." As the pirates landed, the city's defenses activated. Walls shifted, creating impassable barriers, while energy fields zapped intruders trying to breach its core. But the pirates were relentless, using advanced weapons to batter through the city's defenses. "They're adapting," Sarah said, her voice tense. "Good," Jim replied, cracking his knuckles. "So can we." The city's defenses faltered as the pirates' relentless assault began to take its toll. Jim, however, had an idea. "City," he said, grinning, "can you reroute all your power to a central point?" "Yes," the city replied cautiously. "What is your plan?" Jim smirked. "Ever heard of a surprise party?" As the pirates stormed the central plaza, Jim and Sarah waited in the shadows. When the last ship landed, Jim gave the signal. The city unleashed a massive energy pulse, knocking out the pirates' weapons and ships in one fell swoop. The intruders stumbled in confusion, only to find themselves surrounded by glowing walls that locked them in place. Jim stepped forward, crowbar in hand. "Welcome to the city. Hope you enjoy your stay." After the attack, the galaxy's perspective on humanity shifted dramatically. The city, now fully restored, became a symbol of unity and resilience, with Jim as its unlikely ambassador. Alien delegations returned, this time with genuine offers of cooperation. Sarah took charge of organizing tours and research initiatives, ensuring the city's secrets were shared responsibly. And Jim, he found his calling as the city's steward, not just fixing things, but teaching others how to adapt, improvise, and embrace the chaos that made humanity unique. "You have proven your worth," the city said one evening, as Jim stood on a balcony overlooking its glowing streets. "Yeah, well," Jim replied, "sometimes you just need a little human touch." The city hummed in agreement, its lights twinkling like stars. Together, they prepared for whatever challenges the galaxy would bring next. Weeks after the pirates' defeat, the city thrummed with activity. Alien delegations continued to arrive, now treated to carefully managed tours and research opportunities. But Jim, being Jim, had another idea entirely. "All right, listen up," he said one day, addressing the city. "You've got defenses, advanced tech, and more personality than most Galactic Council members, but you're missing one thing." "What is that, human Jim?" the city asked, its tone curious. "A 5-star, wait, scratch that, an 11-star hotel," Jim declared, arms wide. "Think about it. You're the most impressive city in the galaxy. Why not be the galaxy's most exclusive destination?" Sarah, standing nearby with a datapad, groaned. "You're joking, right?" "Nope," Jim said, grinning. "This place needs visitors who appreciate it, not just scientists poking at its walls. And what better way to keep the city busy than hosting diplomats, adventurers, and, wealthy tourists with too much money?" The city was silent for a moment, its lights flickering as if deep in thought. Then it rumbled with laughter. "Your proposal is amusing and logical." Sarah threw up her hands. "We've gone from saving the galaxy to running a bed and breakfast for rich aliens. Fantastic. Months later, the city had undergone yet another transformation. The glowing streets now featured luxurious alien accommodations, complete with floating beds, zero-gravity swimming pools, and room service drones with impeccable manners. The central plaza became a grand lobby, with a towering obelisk-turned reception desk staffed by holographic attendants. Above the entrance, a massive hologram displayed the city's new name, the Galactic Haven, humanity's 11-star retreat. Jim stood in the plaza, surveying the bustling crowd of alien tourists. Some marveled at the architecture, while others lounged in hover chairs, sipping brightly colored drinks. Sarah approached, holding her datapad. "I can't believe this is working." "Of course it's working," Jim said, grinning. "Everyone loves a little luxury, and no one can resist the novelty of staying in a sentient city." The city's voice boomed across the plaza. "Welcome, guests. Enjoy your stay, but do not test my patience." Jim chuckled. "See? Hospitality with a hint of menace. Perfect balance." Late one evening, Jim and Sarah sat on a balcony overlooking the city, now glowing softly under the alien moonlight. A small drone zipped by, delivering snacks to their table. "I have to admit," Sarah said, taking a sip of her drink, "this might be the strangest thing we've ever done." "Strange is just another word for genius," Jim replied, leaning back with a satisfied grin. The city hummed. "Human Jim, a new guest has requested your presence." Jim raised an eyebrow. "A guest? What kind of guest?" "A diplomat. They have questions about the crowbar." Jim groaned, standing up. "Great. Guess I'm a tour guide now." As he walked away, Sarah called after him, "Don't forget to upsell them on the premium suite." The city laughed, its lights twinkling with amusement. Together, the human and the sentient city prepared for yet another adventure, proving that with a little creativity and a lot of humor, even the most ancient mysteries could become surprisingly profitable.